advanced personalized treatments with over a decade of experience. At Low T Center, you'll start with a simple test and get your results in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable, a look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning. It's a Wednesday here on the Roundtable on WGNS. Chip Walters here with Exit Realty Bob Lamb and Associates and the Blue Raider Network. And glad to have you with us on this nice taste of fall weather as we move through this first full week of September. Glad to have you all with us, and really tickled to have a new resident of Murfreesboro, a new resident of Tennessee, and the new Vice President of Student Affairs at MTSU, Dr. Khalilah Doss, is with us today. And I will just say this before she ever says a word: put your seatbelts on, because she is wired and ready to go, and a real positive force in just a very short time on campus. How are you doing this morning?
I am living the dream, friend. I cannot complain.
I tell you, you have you got here, what, about the last week of June or something like that, and here we are.
Yeah, actually, official start date was July 15th.
Okay.
So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, 7 weeks.
Yeah, and so things are popping for sure, and but so we'll talk a little bit about your about what you're going to have going on. But first, kind of let folks know who Khalilah is. You and your family moved here from Evansville, where you had been at the University of Evansville. But kind of, you have a very interesting story about. Like everybody does. Everybody has an American story, and yours goes back and has quite a trail to it.
It does. So I was actually a track and field athlete many moons ago. I was recruited.
You came to a great track and field school here.
Right. I was actually recruited to run track from Jamaica. So I was recruited to my undergrad institution, and that's where I met my husband as well. He played football. So I did the college athlete thing, and after that went on to do my master's and a PhD, and started to have a family. And then we just started to get these opportunities for me to engage with students in different ways. And my last stint, as you shared, Chip, was at the University of Southern Indiana. That is in Evansville.
Right, that's right.
I was there for 5 years and a part of Dr. Rashawn's cabinet. And we did some great things, and very proud of the work that I did there. I like to share with folks, though, that my greatest accomplishment to date is being a mommy of two. I have a 12-year-old, Damien, the second, and an 11-year-old, Drake, and have been married to my husband for more decades than I'd like to count. Him, along with my mom, make up our multi-generational home. So I'm just very thankful and blessed for the opportunity to be at Middle and to continue the work that's been going on prior to me getting here.
Growing up in Jamaica, and what was your obviously in track, but what was your specialty? Were you a sprinter? Were you a distance? Or were you a jumper? What was?
I like to say all of the above. So I did the heptathlon.
Oh, did you?
You can't tell now, because if we started running, Chip, I think you may make it out of this door before me. I haven't run in a very long time. So I did the heptathlon. That's 7 events, and typically over 2 days. And in college, if you indoor, we do the pentathlon, which is 5 events over 1 day. So I have a little bit of everything in the arsenal that I used to do.
Okay. And I'm sure as you have gotten here and learning about Middle, the legacy of Dean Hayes, and I've been very close to his family and all that, and to have during the Olympics, we always bring up we had four or five different Olympians from Middle
awesome.
this year. And do you still have that longing, at least for the love of that sport? Because it's interesting because you have to be a self-motivated person.
Yeah.
And in particular, when it's an individual sport that has team points in the college level. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I will tell you, I always have the love for track, and I will say all sports for that matter. But obviously track holds a special place in my heart. And I will tell you, this time of year, or when it comes to college track time, my friends and I get on Facebook and get in chat messages, and we root for our specific teams, right? Mm-hmm. Or just individuals that we've been following over the years, right? So I'm excited to engage with our student athletes at Middle, and I've been able to do some of that already.
There's no question. We'll talk. Well, yeah, that's part. We'll talk about some of that and some of the interactions you've had. But just kind of a quick thought. What was your takeaways from the Olympics in Paris, and right now the Paralympics have started up? But I just thought the games were fabulous this year.
Friend, I will also share that being as connected to track that I think I am, I have friends who work on the other side. They're not running anymore.
Right. Officiating and things like that.
And doing, providing services for athletes who are in that space. And I always share with folks, it's easy when we can sit and watch a thing happening and see a mistake and make comments about these mistakes.
Oh, and quick to point out.
To point out the things that have gone wrong, right? Or the things that these athletes aren't doing correctly, not realizing that these folks sometimes train for years or more just for what could be 10 minutes to 9 seconds, right?
Oh, yeah.
So my respect level is that I have a healthy dose of respect for the sport, and the people who have committed their livelihoods and lives and their families to this work. So I always enjoy. Now, the time difference was not my preference, right? And I had to settle for watching some things after the fact. So that's when I just unplug. Yeah. So no one could spoil it for me. And get an opportunity to watch that live, or well, not live, but recorded.
Right.
So,
well, with 2028 being in Los Angeles and being a mom of 2 boys, is that something that's kind of on your on your radar?
I've already hit my friends up who are in the Los Angeles area and was like,
so we're going to come stay with you.
We are packing our bags and the blow-up mattresses, and we will be camping out to get a dose of some of that work. So
well, just kind of dovetail on that and the things that go along with the athletes, and we talked about that there were 4 athletes from Middle who participated for their home countries. You had several other alums that are friends of mine who worked for NBC. Tony Reyes, who was actually on this show. We did an interview with him from Paris.
Oh, wow.
He was a camera operator during Maria Taylor's show at 10:30 every night. And we have another friend who she was actually working in NBC's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, doing graphics on for NBC, and then a student with College of Media and Entertainment, Tobin, was working with Tony Reyes. So they have some family relations there. So there's a lot of ways you can be part of it, and like you said, it was a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
But when you came here to be a college athlete and matriculate through your education, what was the spark that went off inside of you that said, I want to, this university has given back to me and given me an opportunity? What was it that said, I want to be part of this college environment and help other students from whatever their backgrounds might be.
Yeah, I will tell you, Chip, I would say I'm one of the poster children for first gen, first everything, right? Like my parents literally packed me with an attache suitcase, if you remember what those look like. It's the ones with the little clips, right? And put me on a plane and said, go be great, right?
Wow.
Because you don't know what you don't know. Like my only understanding of the U.S. at the time was the Penn Relays, because I'd ran at the Penn Relays before. That's how you get recruited, right? You go to the Penn Relays, and then the coaches see you, and they're like, okay. So when I showed up to rural America, that all I saw were soy fields. It was
Where did you go to?
McKendree College,
Okay.
McKendree University
Okay.
in Lebanon, Illinois. So it's
Okay.
20, 30 minutes.
You get to see a lot of cornfields.
And it's so
And
developed now.
soybeans, yeah.
Right. So 40 minutes outside of St. Louis, you know, I started to question life. It's like, what is happening here? And I think sometimes we don't realize the importance and the value in the work that we do to support students who are having a first on our campus, whether they're first gen or not, right? It's a first for everyone at some point, right? So for me, the spark that said, you know, this is something that first of all, I share with folks, nobody wakes up and says, hey, I want to go into student affairs. Like it's not one of the things that you do, right? Like you kind of stumble into this work based on your lived experiences, right? And for me, it was wanting to be who I wanted, and sometimes got when I was younger. Right? Genuinely, I did not make this pivot until I would say the first semester of my master's program, because my master's is in public administration and policy analysis.
Gotcha.
My plan was to return home to Jamaica and enter politics.
Okay.
Right.
And here you are.
And here we are.
There we go. And
Right.
in your time at what were your stops leading up to coming here?
So sure. So
Okay. The roadmap.
Yeah, I'll give you the roadmap. And I share this with students as well. You know, oftentimes we try to tell folks that there's this one way to do a thing, right? I was a fifth-year senior, right, for a myriad of reasons, right? Got into my master's program, did 2 years, and got my master's in public policy and analysis, and then got into a couple PhD programs and decided to do Southern Illinois University Carbondale, right? And one of my mentors and closest friends, who was my dissertation advisor, is still there. And she was the one who tapped me at a conference and was like, hey, you should think about working on a PhD, right? And the rest is history from there. I worked at the University of Missouri St. Louis, so it's an urban campus. UMSLU is most famous for, they're famous for a lot of things, but they're well known for being a part of the community that the Mike Brown situation happened in, right? So I had just left when all of that started happening. Went on to work at Lincoln University and HBCU in Missouri, where I ended my career there as an assistant dean, and went on to McPherson College. And my family and I thought we were going to be there for forever, right? Like small town, amazing people. But my 11-year-old, who is autistic and pre-verbal or minimally verbal, we started to realize we needed additional resources for him that we weren't going to be able to get. And got recruited to the position at the University of Southern Indiana, and also thought we were going to be there for a very long time. Right?
Evansville's a great town.
It's amazing town. You know, I share with folks that I've been fortunate enough to, in my career, never be running from anything. And I think that's a blessing, right? Because I know that's not the narrative or the story for a lot of folks. I during my interview, I shared with folks that my boss at the time, amazing, right? He's now the president at California State University, Fullerton. Amazing cabinet, phenomenal students. My family was thriving, and I wasn't looking for this opportunity. And that's just been the story of my life. and why I tell folks that we have to run our own races, and we have to believe in the alignment of our purpose and the work that we do, right? And that our gifts are always going to make room for us.
Yeah. Once you decided you were going to take an interview here, and you came to Murfreesboro and the campus, what was it then that sold you that said, hey, this is a place that I think we could be a good fit?
Yeah, I will tell you that I started my morning off, and typically these interviews are like a 2-day interview, full day, where you meet a diverse group of campus constituents. And I don't think a lot of folks realize that in higher ed.
It's a gauntlet.
Right? It's shared governance on speed, right? Like you meet everyone, students, faculty, staff. The community is invited to come out and engage with you as well. There is no wink, wink, blink, blink, right? One of my first meeting in the morning was with the search committee that was put together for that position. And I will tell you that the love and institutional knowledge that was in that space became clear within the first 5 or 10 minutes. And I don't believe that it was performative, because there's certain things that you just can't put on, and that's,
you can't fake it.
You can't, and that's the love for a place, right? A love for people, and a genuine feeling that you have the ability to impact the lives of young people and people, and to impact change. I then got an opportunity to meet with the cabinet, and Makai Mosby was a part of that search committee as well, and I directed some questions to him. I always share this. This is my insider to my mentees when they interview. If you interview and there's not a student a part of that search committee, think twice. Think twice, right? If you don't get an opportunity to engage with students, think twice, right? Because if you think about my title, it's the Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. That's I joke that it's so nice they put it in there twice.
There you go.
Right?
That's right. Well,
our job is to support students. And if students aren't a part of that conversation, then something may be amiss.
Absolutely. We need to take a break right now. And Dr. Khalilah Doss, the new Vice President for Student Affairs, we'll find out kind of what falls under her and some of her objectives and goals and what's ahead. That's all right here on the Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS.
If you want to get some barbecue, I'll tell you how to do it. Head for the Slick Pig and you're into it. Just walk through the door at 1920 East Main and your nose will send a message right to your brain. Say, smells good. And barbecue. Slick Pig. They got ribs and beans. Got spicy wings. Slick Pig.
A Murfreesboro tradition. 1920 East Main.
Quick, how can you turn $1 into the chance at winning up to $500? Just add the Quick Cash feature next time you play Tennessee Cash, Daily Tennessee Jackpot, Lotto America, or Cash for Life. It's easy. Simply add Quick Cash for an extra $1 for a chance to win instantly. And don't forget to check your ticket after the drawing to see if you won again. So play Quick Cash today for your chance at some fast money. Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
Helen Alexander, what do you enjoy most about Adams Place?
Well, I like it because I'm well taken care of and I'm not afraid at night. And I lived by myself 18 years after my husband died, so I feel safe here. I am very blessed to be here at Adams Place, very blessed.
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adams Place. Call me for more information about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111. Adams Place.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
I've got pets.
Here's Tom Sweat with AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
AmeriCare's moisture control services include mold testing, mold remediation, crawl space repair, vapor barrier, sump pump installation, radon testing, radon mitigation, and basement waterproofing. If there's something wrong in your crawl space or basement, we can probably help. Just ask for a free inspection.
893-7111.
You're the best of the best to get rid of your pets.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
WGNS encourages you to shop local. Let's patronize those local family businesses. This is the weekend for the Uncle Dave Macon Days Roots Rendezvous Music Fest. That's at Hop Springs on the John Bragg Highway. Parking is only $10 per car. Everybody in the car is admitted free. Again, the first annual Uncle Dave Macon Days Roots Rendezvous Music Fest at Hop Springs this Friday and Saturday. It's also the weekend for Oakland's Mansion's Fall Craft Fair from 10 o'clock Saturday morning until 5 in the afternoon. That's the Fall Craft Fair at Oakland's Mansion. Oh yes, this Saturday is Grape Harvest Day at the Lane Agri Park, and it's all free. Plus free grapes given away Saturday morning as long as they last at the Grape Harvest Day. And there's a costume contest for youngsters ages 10 and younger, with a $30 prize for the best costume. Don't miss the Grape Harvest Day this Saturday morning from 8 to 11 at the Lane Agri Park. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
We'll see partial sunshine developing here this afternoon with a high in the upper 80s. Tonight, decreasing clouds, a low near 66. Thursday, sunny, high around 90. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 72.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Wednesday Roundtable. Dr. Khalilah Doss, the Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students at MTSU, just on the job since July 15th, joining us. And we talked about her path getting here. And once you got here, I mean, literally a month before, or not quite a month before everybody started showing up for the fall semester, you have had to jump in to the fire with both feet and have done it seemingly willingly.
That's what happens when you love what you do.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what the your job title and the Division of Student Affairs for folks who don't know, kind of what comes under that.
Yeah, I often share with parents that it's and I'm very careful how I phrase this. You know, some folks will say it is the non-academic side of the house, and which there's some truth to. However, I believe that learning still happens outside of the classroom, right? That's why we're on college campuses.
That's right. I always would tell my dad, I said, I'm here for the full college experience.
The full experience,
That's
right? The marketplace of ideas where all things happen. So the Division of Student Affairs sees fraternity and sorority life, programming for students, the SGA, housing and residence life, dining, so the food students eat, the Dean of Students office, also our Office of Student Care and Conduct. We have our cultural center, our cultural centers, our June Anderson Center. We also have, and I am spacing on
even like the
couple.
rec center.
The rec center
health,
is also health
services.
services, counseling services.
Right.
All of those fall up under the purview of Student Affairs and the Dean of Students, right? So there are 21 folks that I call the Student Affairs Leadership Team, or SALT. It sounds really covert operation-y when I say SALT. That help me to guide the campus in those areas.
Yeah, and this summer leading into the fall 2024 semester was a little crazy in the sense of that most students who come to MTSU receive assistance of some sort. Different types of financial aid assistance, scholarships, whatever it may be, and I guess there was a FAFSA when I went to college, but this year apparently something rose its ugly head and it came right down to the wire before, and there was a lot of anxiety with parents and students alike, and and hopefully that's getting behind us, or
maybe-ish. Yeah. So our enrollment management team, the folks in enrollment management, I will just say, surveys have shown that enrollment management is probably top 1 or top 2 most stressful jobs in higher education, right? For a myriad of different reasons. And the team in that area have done, I think, a stellar job of sharing with the campus and parents and students the hiccup. So the hiccup that you spoke to, FAFSA, which is what students need to fill out to figure out if they qualify for aid or whatever else. There were some pivots and changes to that.
That came from
the federal government.
Okay.
So prior to the recruitment cycle, and everyone's recruitment cycle looks different, but I will go all the way back to around last August-ish, right, to September. They would have released their regulations and their processes by, say, October. That threw everyone, not just middle, into a tailspin because we were told not until December. Then we were told February. Then we were told, all the things, everything. It's like this perfect storm. And again, this is not me being critical of the federal government at all. I don't think someone is just behind a screen saying, do this, do that. I think that there are things that are happening that they need to see too, that's impacting, it's this trickle-down effect that's negatively impacting institutions, including us. So we were up to the week before school started, I want to say, when there was another pivot that had to happen for approximately 20,000 students. You can't hire yourself out of that in a week, right? Because I know folks are like, well, you need more people. True, but you can't hire yourself out of a crisis that is a week away from these things happening when you're just being told you needed to pivot, right? So shout out to the enrollment management team and our folks in financial aid. They're the real MVPs.
Right. And you have another area that we've seen a growth in, I don't know if it's a growth in importance, but a growth in usage. You mentioned health services and mental health counseling.
Yeah.
And you've been in higher ed, and going to college can be a stressful thing. Not for moms and dads, and the students have self-induced pressure to perform, and then you think about all of these kids who are here now went through a couple of crazy years of COVID, and they're having to try to figure out things that that none of us ever had to try to deal with. And so is that more important than ever before?
It always has been. I would even offer that folks in the field have been sounding this horn for a very long time. Even when I was in undergrad, right? One of my first assistantships was in the counseling center in my grad program. And even then, I was close to the magnitude of the impact that just changes and difference can have on people and young people. I share with folks that I don't believe we can ever hire our way out of the mental health crisis that I feel we have going on in this country. But I think there are some things that we can do to mitigate it. And some tools that we can offer students and their families to put in their toolkit to help with that. Life is stressful, and I challenge folks who say, well, when I was growing up, I feel I was a part of the last set of like latchkey kids where your parents are like, figure life out. What's depression? You don't have bills. You don't have any of that. And it doesn't mean my parents didn't love me or care for me. Things and times were just different. And the exposure and the awareness to a lot of things were not there, right? So it's hard. It's heartbreaking to see, but one of the things that I know we're doing well at Middle is how we support students who are navigating life. And life is just lifing like it has been, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good. And now, in addition to that, other things they have to be concerned and worried about is, okay, if they come here, where am I going to live? And, and on-campus housing has been it's an interesting subject because there has not been any new housing since Scarlett Commons was built. And in the process of some new academic buildings being built, some campus housing has gone away. Is there a desire in the future to add more housing on campus? And what does that look like in the future? Because, I mean, 43 years ago last week, I moved into Smith Hall.
Oh my goodness!
And you know, and I'm one of those things. You know, I think everybody ought to spend a year living in a dorm with inside hallways and community bathrooms. You learn how to deal with people.
Agreed.
But but that's not how housing is moving forward.
Yeah.
What is the future of campus housing around the country, and what do you see the path going forward here?
So prior to me getting here, the university had already started conversations around a private partnership to build a 500-bed residence hall. As you mentioned, we have some buildings that are going to be coming offline. The Womack apartments being one of those. We talked about that at the previous board meeting. The piece that I feel is important to share is money's always at the center of these things, and how middle and other schools are funded impacts what you can do, right? Because funds are earmarked, and I often joke that I look amazing in orange, but I won't wear it because I'm at middle, and there's a school going that way that is orange, but I don't believe in going to jail for anybody, right? And when funds are earmarked, we have to use them for what they're earmarked for. But the plan is to get that building up. I want to say it's maybe 2027.
Okay, but that means if it wants to come online in 2027, you can't be that far away from moving some dirt.
So we're hoping, right? Because there are multiple processes that are involved in this, and I've shared this with a couple parents who have asked that, right? It's not like we can just go in and say we're going to build today, right? We have to go through the state. There are multiple layers of accountability, which is important, which we want, that Middle Tennessee State University has to go through in order to get to that point.
Well, and I think, you know, you mentioned UT, they just opened up a brand new one this year. And so you're seeing campuses across the state, you know, go back and put an emphasis on that. And I think a lot of folks are happy to see that there is some movement in that area on campus.
We're excited.
Good. Now getting them fed is another part of it. Aramark has sometimes a no-win job, but they've really pivoted with the times. I can again, I date myself, but in my days in Smith Hall, we would head out the back and go to what was Woodmore Cafeteria. It had a couple of nicknames that we won't go into. And it was in those days, some of that was quantity over quality. And now I go over every once in a while, and we'll have and I'm with what I do with the Blue Raider Network and things. I deal with a lot of functions on campus, so I see the Aramark folks, and they're catering mostly, but the choices that students have these days, and healthier choices that we didn't have many years ago, kind of blows me away with what's available out there.
And I would offer too, for me, you mentioned Aramark, right? And I don't even know if folks know who Aramark is. And that's an important distinction.
MT Dining.
Correct.
MT Dining.
Right? And that is what I tell folks, because when a parent reaches out, they're not going to say Aramark. They're going to say MT Dining. And that team and I have been talking, and Justin Reed, who's over our unions, is a part of this process, because MT Dining will be working with him more closely. We are one and the same. When we talk about the brand and who we are, it's a brand of excellence, right? When we strive for excellence in all areas of customer service and care, even if we fall short, it's not too bad, right? That dining team is phenomenal. They're very responsive. Obviously, you know, Chick-fil-A is probably a high one of our highest places that are visited on campus. But I will tell you for this.
The farmers market restaurant.
And the farmers market restaurant as well.
It's crazy
from
good.
farm to table, that we have extended our dining hours in the union. That's something that our students wanted, so we've started that. We're going to see how that works.
Starting earlier or going later?
Going
or both?
later.
Okay.
Going later. Going later. We've done some adjustments in the unions and some additional spaces that we believe students are going to be using some more. And we want to make sure that they are fed if they so choose. So we'll watch it until around fall break to see how that's going, and then pivot if we need to.
Yeah. Well, that was the word we learned in 2020.
Pivot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
you
we
gotta
came
pivot.
Well, speaking of dining and food on campus, have you been introduced to the MTSU Dairy's chocolate milk?
Yes, sir. I'm not, and so I don't drink milk, but my husband does.
Yes.
And it is magically delicious. His words, not mine.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Right here on campus.
Yeah, that's
right here on campus.
And the thing is, you go into those dining halls if you're a student, and the freshman 15 can come pretty easy just by drinking chocolate milk.
That milk is good. Our students,
What do you, in your world, is there more? Where does in food? Where does that go? Is there more grab and go? Is there more sit down, or more, is it choices? What are students wanting now in the 2020s?
I would say both and, right? It's the same thing even with housing. Students want their personal space, but they also want community space. Right. Back in the day, all you had was community space, right? Personal space was this misnomer.
I'm telling you, Smith Hall, baby.
There's nothing personal about the space. Right. Go out in the quad or the knoll if you want privacy.
You go to the lobby. The only TV in the whole building was in the lobby.
Same. Right. Yeah. So think about that change, right? And it's the same. You have students who are busy. Our students work 20 hours a week as well. Right. So it's this both where I want to be able to grab something to go, but I also want to, if I choose to, be able to sit down and fellowship over a meal with my friends or random folks. Yeah. So I think it's both.
Yeah. All right. Dr. Khalilah Doss is our guest today. We'll take a break, our final segment, as the hour flies by with MTSU's new VP of Student Affairs and Dean of Students right here on the Roundtable on WGNS. Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
This is Kim Dunaway from Sunshine Nutrition Center. You hear me on Monday mornings at 7:20 talking about how to lead a healthier lifestyle. We carry supplements, personal care, and grocery items at both our Murfreesboro and Smyrna locations, family owned and operated since 1989.
At Budge Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary. Just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstireprostn.com.
Do you have pieces of jewelry that you feel like you don't wear anymore? The biggest struggle somebody has when they inherit a piece of jewelry is that they love the sentiment, but it's not necessarily in style or their style. We can reset stones, melt down gold, and you would enjoy wearing, knowing that this gold and these diamonds came from your loved one. Come see us at Bell Jewelers, 821 Northwest Broad Street, across from Toots.
Premier 6 Theater on Broad in Jackson Heights.
Let's all go to the movies.
Check out what's showing at murfreesboromovies.com. Popcorn popped fresh daily.
Movies at the good old
Premier 6 on Broad in Jackson Heights.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable here on WGNS. Dr. Khalilah Doss, the new Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of Students at MTSU, is with us, and it's been a fascinating conversation with her so far. And if you have missed any of it or want to go back, you can check out the podcast section of WGNSradio.com. And an area, I know a lot of folks who listen and folks that grew up kind of in my sphere and things like that, went to the university here, were part of the Greek system.
Oh, yeah.
And you are a Greek alum.
Yes, I'm currently Greek. You know, in the Divine Nine, you are Greek until you die.
Gotcha. And you know, there has been a growing frustration with Greek alums and their relationship with the university over some time. And I think, you know, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on where you see it moving in the future, because I think from a Greek alum standpoint, they are looking for a willing partner, and not someone who's looking to shut them down.
Oh, goodness.
And I understand you have rules to follow and things like that, but the having gone through that, that was a huge part of my college experience. And when you look at alumni affairs, things like that, when you see and who are the most active alums, and you think about the folks who went through the Greek experience, the folks who were student athletes, things like that, are the ones who are your most active and generous as time goes by. So, give me your kind of your thoughts of where it is and where it can go.
So I let me start by where I think it is, right? Again, and let me backtrack. I share with folks that I do not Monday morning quarterback anybody.
Right.
But what I do is I like to have sufficient information for me to be able to understand how a thing is, right? Especially seeing as it's rolling up under my purview. So I will say that. And I understand the frustrations. I think that is consistent across higher education, particularly as it pertains to suspension or expulsion of chapters and the spotlight, rightly so, around safety. And it's not just Greek life, it's campus life in general, right? Because I'm very careful when we talk about this, because the narrative that folks in Greek life are not being safe or doing safe things, I think is problematic, right? Because that's not the case for the majority of folks.
And I can promise you it is way different than it was back in the day.
And it is.
And it should be.
And it absolutely should be, right? So I'll say that. I would say middle when, and comparison is the thief of all joy, but let's just do this for 2 seconds. Middle when compared to other THEC schools are at or above, with the exception of one, the number of Greek affiliated organizations on campus. So we have around 23-ish. Some places in THEC, there are 19. Some places are right at 23, 24,
Gotcha.
with one being around 40. And I won't say the name of which that one is.
Gotcha.
Right. But all of the other 9 schools,
right,
we are right there or above.
Gotcha.
Right. One of the things that I believe is germane to this relationship with Greek life is being able. Now, I share this with my students, Makai and all of them. If you believe that you're going to come in my office and you cannot change my mind, then you won't come into my office and you won't talk to me anymore. Right. But we also have to understand that it's going to depend on what it is that we're talking about. Right. I shared at the beginning, this is a space for students to grow and make mistakes. And depending on the mistakes, though, that the consequences or the accountability may look different.
Exactly right.
So I can't say that I know how to fix the issues that preceded me, but what I can say is everyone on my team that's affiliated with Greek life, our desire is to expand and figure out what that looks like, because we know that Greek life is integral to the experience that students, we're going through Rush right now.
Right. Yeah. You can't change history.
No.
But you can have a plan moving forward, and now there are a lot of things where it's, partnerships and understanding moving forward.
We have two orgs that came back on campus this year as well, right? So my desire is to always look at ways at which we can do this in a way that aligns with some shared goals of who we are, right? Again, it doesn't mean it's going to work in all instances, right? But that has always been my approach to this. And I share with folks that I am Greek, right? It is embedded in who I am.
It's important to you for it to be a vibrant part of campus.
And I've seen how important it can. Were you at Fight Song?
No, I was not.
Chip, our students put on a show. That was all our Greek students.
Right.
Right? Like it is a vibrant part of our campus community, right? So we are looking at what that looks like. We're looking at finding ways to give them storage and letting them know that we want them there, right? And it comes from building those relationships. I walked all the houses when I got here. I've been engaging with these women and young men and letting them know that they can reach out to me if they need anything.
That's great, and I'm glad that door is open. For both the undergrads and for the alums. So that's cool. Speaking of that, a big part of what went on this past weekend, Greek Life took a big part of that as far as the party in the Grove, and you have been, I've been trying to wrap my head around it because you had this, huge buildup, and you had a ton of people on campus Saturday, and then at the craziest possible time, you had lightning delays and a 2.5 hour delay to the football game, and the student section was packed.
Yes.
Prior to the delays happening, but the thing is, that is what happened Saturday as far as all of the activity and the experiences leading up to, because you can't control the weather.
No. I'd be rich if I could.
And then, exactly. And then the football game, when it happened, you got to win.
Blue Raiders win.
Now you move on. You go to Ole Miss this week. But as far as what went on out in the energy that was on campus, that's what you want to repeat and continue. And you've got, we've got 2 more weekends in September with Western Kentucky on the 14th, and then homecoming on the 21st with Duke coming in.
Yeah, and we have Hunter Girl is our next event.
Hunter Girl.
And then Cadillac 3, right?
That's right.
Chip, I joke with folks that I feel like the kiddo who came in on the end of the group project, and they're like, just do the PowerPoint and don't touch anything so you don't break it. We have great folks on that campus. Andrew Ottman, Chelsea Floyd in athletics, our sound and lighting, right? Our Band of Blue, our students, our dining folks, our alum, our community, right? Folks were out in the rain. You saw this, right? I was like, this is what it means to build community. Follow Me to Floyd was Makai Mosby and Andrew Ottman idea and Brentland, right? They had over 400 students go through that student section with them. And I had freshmen that was like, we just followed them because we thought that that's what we were supposed to do.
Right.
And that's how traditions are made, right?
Yeah.
And we have amazing student leaders who help to bridge that gap. Because nobody wants to listen to us older folks, right?
That's
They've
right.
done a phenomenal job. When I say this was the epitome of teamwork and one band, one sound, my team will hear me say that often. It's one band, one sound. We are all a part of this whole, and we are working together to make middle better than we found it, right? It's already great, but better than we found it.
And the folks of my age, there's certain things that they want when it comes to the overall entertainment package. I mean, they want to be with their group of friends and tailgate and grill and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The younger crowd right now, they like the music on stage, the DJs, whether it's live music or whatever.
Yes.
The families with young kids, they want the bouncy houses, all of that. So It is a daunting task to try to be all things to all people, and
we did that well.
And I thought it was pulled off very, very well on Saturday.
The president had his expectations, and he gave that to the group. And I will say, even Rich Kershaw and his group, our Spear team, it was, when I tell you, I believe seamless. But we always look at ways we can do better, right? So when Hunter Girl gets here, it's going to be better. Right. And we'll keep getting better as we continue on expanding the tradition and what that needs to look like. But I say A+ for the entire team on that.
Yep, except for whoever supplied the weather. So,
fair.
Yeah, because Coach Mason and his
fair.
group,
my goodness,
got
the
a dramatic win.
Yes.
And I got to give, I call him the head band coach, Craig Cornish.
Yes, the band was amazing.
They pivoted, and for folks who did not go into Murphy Center during the weather delay, the dance team, the cheerleaders, impromptu put on a show.
They sure did.
In Murphy Center, and kind of kept folks entertained. And then once the weather cleared and the game was able to get started again, you look out and there's still a pretty good crowd there that did not leave or go home, and hopefully that bodes well for, you got a conference game with Western Kentucky on the 14th, and then really excited for Duke coming in. Second time in about 10 years that Duke has come in, and their head coach is our former defensive coordinator.
Oh my goodness,
and,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Manny Diaz was here, and 2 or 3 other assistant coaches under him were here at one point, and we've got one of Manny's former players going into the Hall of Fame that weekend. So a lot of activity is going to be happening and all of that. But is in our final minute or two here, kind of what are the couple or 3 or 4 bullet points that you look at every morning and say, okay, here are the goals we want to reach this semester, this year, from a student experience and student service point of view?
I will say the main one is listening to students, and I'll tell you why that's important to me. Students are our why. They'll always be my why. And from listening to students, we've able to do some changes already, i.e. ensuring that student groups, including Greek groups, no longer pay when they go in to use any of the union spaces.
Oh, so if they need meetings, they don't get a bill?
They don't get a bill.
Okay.
And I think that's powerful, right? This culture of excellence is what we'll continue to work towards.
Right.
So listening to students, ensuring that we're connecting with the campus in a different way, our campus partners. A colleague of mine would say cylinders of excellence are great. I call them silos, right? They only belong on farms, right? So for me, it's finding ways to ensure that we're continuously talking to each other to better serve students.
Okay, that's awesome. And again, she's a great follow on Facebook, because if you need a little motivational, a little jump start to your morning, a lot of times you'll get on her Facebook page, you'll get a little quick message. Heart was the one you put out
I did.
on Monday, and that was and you gave a little definition of what that meant, and it kind of went back and really fit with everybody and what they had gone through over the weekend, and to pull things off.
Yes.
And resilience would have been another good word for that.
That's for sure.
We're certainly happy to have you and your family here in town and on campus.
Yes.
And thank you for spending an hour with us.
You bet.
We'll
Anytime,
do this again,
Chip.
okay?
I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks
All
a
right.
lot. Dr. Khalilah Doss joining us today, and she is the Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of Students at MTSU. Stay tuned. Brian Barrett coming up next, and we will be back with another show next Wednesday right here on the Big G, WGNS.